Oompa loompa oopity doo. We've got another episode for you.
I'm Ange.
And I'm Steph.
We're
Nerdazons.
It feels so good to have our mics back and actually record in the same room.
I know, because you can have up to 20 people in your house now.
Yay!
Woo!
And I'm sure you guys will prefer the better audio quality.
Yeah. So what's this month? I believe it's your choice.
Yes, so this month I chose Willy Wonka 1971 versus the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I've forgotten what year that was, so don't ask me. But I chose them because I really wanted to try and branch out to different genres, breach out from what we usually do, and I figured this is a good musical. It's a great classic. It's a different genre. I thought let's give it a go, and everyone knows these.
It's so good. Seriously, the original is one of my favorites.
Yeah, and I feel like with these, you're re-experiencing them so different as an adult. I am so more into this now as an adult. I have a completely different view of these. The more I dug into researching these, the more I was, wow, this is pretty dark, and it doesn't even come across like that. But we'll get into that.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you want to start with the original?
Okay, so Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory from 1971. Quick plot point. A poor but hopeful boy seeks one of the 5 coveted golden tickets that will send him on a tour of Willy Wonka's mysterious chocolate factory. I don't know about you, but this is a movie. It was on daytime TV, it was on nighttime TV, it was what you would put on if the kids were still up before they had to go to bed, and that's, I think,
I remember it even in being like a Sunday night movie.
Yeah, I think I still have the VHS.
No.
Well, I mean, we have so many VHS in boxes somewhere.
You know that they could be worth a lot?
I know, you tell me this every time I tell you. I still have the VHS. They're in my mum's place somewhere. We'd have to dig through them to find them.
The original Aladdin is worth about like $600.
That's insane. I'm pretty sure I broke that as a kid because we got stuck with watching Return of Jafar and The King of Thieves more than we watched the original Aladdin.
Really?
Because I broke the gone are the days of sticking the knife in to unwind the VHS tape that got tangled, and that's how I broke the first Indiana Jones film to Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Do you know, okay, speaking of that, do you know that I always used to thought it was Indiana Jones and the Doom Temple?
Oh my God. Don't ever say that out loud.
I take it back. Convention. Nobody heard me say that.
Yes, that was not what we didn't hear that.
No.
Okay, so Willy Wonka. So when you watch this as a kid, it seems amazing. You know, it's this massive chocolate and candy factory. Every kid's dream. You want to go in there, you want to eat all that really fun, quirky stuff. Gene Wilder was amazing. He is awesome. Like, he was able to seem not there and a bit odd, but at the same time with it.
And a little bit psychotic as well.
Yeah, and like as a kid, the songs are so memorable. They were able to sing back then in Hollywood, and it's such a good musical, and it's a great way to introduce kids to musicals as well, I think.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it after watching it. Oh my God, those songs got stuck in my head for days.
So one thing I want to say, with Glee, I watched the first few seasons. A girl I used to work with in my very first job watched it, so I kind of watched it with her. And the coach, I can't remember the names, this is a long time ago, but the coach had a sister who had Down syndrome, and she loved her. And she used to say that her favorite movie of all time was Willy Wonka and things like that. And then the actual actress died and did the same in the series. That she passed away. And the Glee Club, so the coach was so upset, and she's like, you know, she's not going to have any friends at a like funeral and things like that. And the Glee Club, like, they came in, the funeral was themed around Willy Wonka, and they sung Pure Imagination. The saddest version I have ever heard. If you watch the clip, and it's so sad but beautiful at the same time. And I'm not a big fan of
musicals,
songs that get remade, but that was beautiful. If you ever get a chance, just that will bring you to tears.
I was actually going to start watching Glee because I've never seen it, but my mate at work is like, oh my God, you need to watch it, it's amazing.
Yeah, like some of the songs they did on Glee were really good, and they were very good at mashing up like 2 songs into one, so they did really well. I did stop watching that. I can't remember when I stopped, but that was one thing that I always remember with that song Pure Imagination, and it just makes it so much more sadder when you watch it in the movie, even though it's not sad at the time he's singing it, because, you know, like, it's a wondrous time for them. They've just stepped into this massive field of edible grass and toadstools that have cream in them, and
the chocolate fountain that kind of look like poo.
Yes.
At the
yeah, it was a very watery fountain. When you see that compared to the new Charlie and the Chocolate, that actually looked like chocolate because it was a thicker consistency. Yeah. But obviously the 70s, you know, you never know what they used to make things. So.
Probably lead or like something poisonous.
Yeah, it's just, I think as an introduction, it's such a great thing to watch as a kid, and then when you come back to it as an adult, and the more you research it, the more you see other people's theories and things like that, it gets twisted, and that's what I loved about it.
You know that there's a theory that I might post on our Facebook that Snowpiercer is an extension of Willy Wonka.
I took a bet with my brother and I said, I'll guarantee you any money that Steph will mention this.
So you won? How much did you win?
I don't think we ended up betting a prize, but I said, I'll guarantee she'll mention the Snowpiercer theory. That is my, one of my top fan theories in anything.
Yeah.
It connects so well. I'm pretty sure we mentioned it in our season 1 when we talked about Snowpiercer. Mm-hmm. That theory, so long story short, it pretty much he's meant to be Charlie, right? So the genius streak of Wonka and his factory and how they think and build things in his factory is them who made the train. That, like, it's so much more complex. You do need to read it or watch it. We'll post it, but it's one of the best fan theories I've ever heard.
Yeah.
But fun fact, did you know that Roald Dahl hated the Willy Wonka? It was very similar to Walt Disney's Mary Poppins. I've forgotten who wrote the book, but she hated it. They did a movie on it. Emma Thompson played her. Mm-hmm. That was such a good movie. Okay. It took him years to convince her to sell the rights to the movie, and she never wanted it as a musical, things like that. And then even when the movie had aired, she came out and she was really, like, she hated it. And he's like, it's over, the movie's out now. But yeah, Roald Dahl didn't like it, and he didn't like Gene Wilder. So isn't that funny? The author of the book hated...
See, Gene Wilder is amazing.
Yes.
He can go from being sweet and
it's his
caring.
eyes.
Yeah. And one thing that has annoyed me for a very, very, very long time is at the beginning of the movie when the grandpa and they're all sharing the bed, as soon as he wins, the grandpa's like, cool, I can get up now.
He's such a faker.
You could have worked your bum off.
Yeah, and helped your family. Instead, you just, he's such a faker.
Yeah.
That in a lot of, So back to the Emma Thompson one, the movie was called Saving Mr. Banks. Mm-hmm. It's got Emma Thompson and Tom Hanks. It's a really good film. The author was P.L. Travers.
That's what I want to watch. I want to watch that.
It's a very good one. I definitely recommend it. But yeah, just interesting fun fact that he didn't like Gene Wilder. Yeah, but Gene Wilder's great. And I feel like for him, it's the eyes. So a lot of things he did in this film, he did a lot of improvisation. Mm-hmm. So when he's walking down and he meets them and he gets the thing stuck and he collapses, that was all improvised to capture like all the actors and the kids especially there, not inspiration, but the excitement and things. So that he improvised a lot of things, and especially the boat ride was improvised by him too. So they didn't know what was going on. They thought it was meant to be just a boat ride.
Well, I also have to say that Peter Ostrom as Charlie, he was great. Like, a child.
Yes.
And that he's made mistakes or whatever, but he was still a child. Whereas...
This was a point I wrote down as well.
Freddie,
he was too good.
He was such a goody two-shoes.
Which is good. You want a kid like that. But it's more realistic. Charlie Bucket in the original, he was a kid. He wanted to be a bit selfish. He wanted to have that chocolate bar for himself. Yeah. Not, I should give it to the family. We don't have the money. He was like, oh, here, take it. Like, you're not a saint, dude. Yeah. You're a child. Yeah. So,
and that really, really irked me.
I made that note as well. While I was digging in the wormhole of Willy Wonka and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, a really good thing, and I never knew this. I was talking to some of my friends before I came over and they all knew it, but I didn't. Wonka planned the whole thing where one child should have been eliminated. Mm-hmm. And the most obvious thing, which I didn't realize until I freeze framed it and I could see it. So when Augustus falls into the chocolate river and the boat ride comes on, every seat was full. So there was 2 people that weren't meant to be on that seat. So him and his mum, and they accounted for that. So every seat was full. And then like later when they go, before Mike TV goes into that room where he gets shrunk down, the bike that Wonka's riding on where they get stretched, and then there's only 2 seats at the front and 2 seats at the back. So they knew the rest of them weren't going to make it.
What? And I never knew that.
Yeah, right? it just shows you how messed up Wonka really was. And I'm like, the deeper you dig, the darker he is.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like I've rewatched this with completely different
I need to go
view.
back and I need to rewatch this again.
Yeah, like he's actually more, I wouldn't say sadistic, but he's more darker.
Yeah.
Than
a bit of a psychopath.
Yes. Yeah, you don't even realize it. Yeah, he planned one child should be eliminated at each challenge. And then a really obvious one in the remake was with Violet. She was the chewing gum champion. And of course she took the bait with the chewing gum. And she took it. So he knew, obviously,
it got to make it.
Yeah. So if she was going to survive, she wouldn't have taken, survived the challenge. She obviously survived in real life. Like, she didn't die. But yeah, like, it was just something that I was like, holy crap. I didn't realize the thought that he put into eliminating the kids.
But also, we're chopping and changing a lot. But I want to mention, one thing is that with Gene Wilder as Will, when he put the golden tickets out, he was excited to meet the children.
Yes.
He was happy. He wanted this to happen. Whereas Johnny Depp was just like, put the tickets out, but he didn't really care about the kids. He's like, oh, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
Don't do anything. And I'm just like, but why?
Like, I think when
he
Violet and the other girl, Veruca, that's her name, when they came up to him and they said something to him and he's like, I don't care. And it's like, but you need to care because you need one of these children to take over your factory. Why are you... I think... Since we're chopping and changing, I think this is going to be an episode that we're going to chop and change. One note that I had on him there, ironically, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory displays more about Charlie than it does Wonka. Whereas Charlie and the Chocolate Factory displays more about Wonka than it does Charlie. So that the titles don't match with the movie. But in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, you can really see Wonka is a socially... awkward person, and you can see he is someone who has
relate.
But you can actually see in the way he acts that he has shut himself in a factory for 20 years and hasn't associated with anyone, so he has got the mental capacity of a child. You know, and you can see that in his acting to a degree, because sometimes he was a bit silly. But obviously it was
the cinematography of the original, amazing. It still like holds up today. It's so good.
They had really good use of colour.
Yes.
Like, even in his jacket, the walls had bright colours and it draws you to it, as opposed to the streets where it's like snowing. It looks dirty, like the slate look filthy because it's wet and muddy. And like, they really, just by using simple colour, they were able to achieve that.
Exactly. But oh my goodness, I need to go back and totally watch this movie again.
Yeah, like with different eyes, right?
With different eyes.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my God, that is so true.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's insane. And another big fun fact, so with Roald Dahl, so in the book, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is more, it's closer to the book than what Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory was. But, he was actually meant to be an ex-employee who opened up a rival business. He was never meant to be an employee who was undercover, and that was another thing that Roald Dahl disliked that they changed.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that either.
Same.
I need to like read the book.
But like, I feel like the changes they made probably work. I haven't read the book. I think the way that they did it worked for that film and at that time. Yeah.
Yeah, and even the songs are so catchy. Do you know what? Like, this movie is like a warm hug to me.
Yeah.
And especially because everybody's like isolated, it's just kind of like, oh, nostalgia.
Yeah.
I freaking love it.
It is so good. I
actually watched, you'd be proud, Gene Wilder as Frankenstein.
I love that movie.
And I was like, he is
And every time he leaves the basement, he's like back to normal. Yeah. Oh, I love that movie. He looks so good in that. And he had like the weirdest hair.
Yeah.
Like it was curly and frizzy, but it sat in the right way that suited it.
Yeah.
And it just worked for him in his film.
Yeah, he was a great actor.
Yeah, like he was able to accomplish genuine kind-hearted and softness in some of his films, but then again, he can be crazy and demented in Willy Wonka with it, like, and it was all with his eyes. He just knew how to do it, and it worked.
And the kids to the next one, I really liked that they updated the kids.
Yeah, pretty much I had, like, in the main one, each kid had their main point. So you had bratty, hungry, snobby, film obsessed. And they didn't change that, but they just elevated it. They evolved it and intensified it in the new one. So it just made you dislike them that much more.
Yeah.
Which was something I think that transferred across really, really well in the remake.
And it made it adaptive for today's time. Yeah, rather than just being obsessed with TV, he was obsessed with video games.
Yeah, so that was in the book. So he was obsessed with a lot of gangster stuff and that in the books, whereas it was just TV and Wild West that they like just touched on in the original.
And whereas like Violet not only
chewing gum champion,
she was a champion everything, and that her parents or her mother was just like, you need to be a winner at everything.
You really had that soccer mum personality, which is something I think is more relatable in today's society than it was in the 70s.
Exactly. Yeah.
I definitely agree. I love Tim Burton. I always have. He just has a brilliant outlook on life. He's able to turn something that normally most people would think is horrible and turn it into something so colourful and animated. In most of his films, like when you look at The Corpse Bride, the dead had so much more life in it than the living, and Nightmare Before Christmas. His stuff is so amazing. However, he does not do well with mainstream movies, so like remakes of films that everyone already knows and loves. He fails there. Like, I think he needs to have his own creative originality, and I think that's where this film kind of failed a little bit. I love him, but he shouldn't do the mainstream stories.
Also, I know, anybody else but Johnny Depp, please.
I don't mind Johnny Depp, but I could see what he was trying to do with this one, but he just came across really creepy and weird. Odd. He was an oddball. Whereas that's why I was saying Gene Wilder, he acted like a bit of a strange person, but you could see, hey, he has got a level of cunningness, which is why he obviously tricked
more
the
of
kids.
a human.
Yeah.
Whereas Johnny Depp's character was more of like I don't know, not an alien, but not human.
He definitely acted like a 12-year-old. He was stuck. He was a 12-year-old's mind stuck in a 40-year-old's body.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can tell he had no social interaction in his life. The Oompa Loompas is another thing I wanted to talk about. Much better in the original.
Yeah.
Because in the book, they're actually described as like blonde hair, little like human people.
Humanoids.
Yeah. So Deep Roy is great, brilliant in the things he does, and he was funny. I really loved the stern, blank facial expression he had for every character. Mm-hmm. But if you were to come across a complete civilization, they're not all going to look like one person.
No, they're not.
No. So I think the original won that one there. It was a big hit and miss with the remake.
Completely. I think overall, Willy Wonka wins. Well, also with the Oompa Loompas, in the new one, Deep Roy's music is actually quite funny, and like every time you see them, it jumps a new generation of music.
Yeah.
And it goes, from 70s to like the psychedelic music and up to pop music. To me, that was
rock and
there was even like an 80s metal band.
Yeah.
I do like that, and I think he did an amazing job to be able to play every single character.
He did. But with the Oompa Loompas, that's the biggest difference between the two. So the original was a musical. This one, only the Oompa Loompas sung, so you can't consider that as a musical. The rest of them didn't sing. No. So that is the biggest difference between them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so to me, Gene Wilder won as Charlie.
Yeah.
As Willy.
Yes.
The original Charlie
won. Yep, the original Oompa Loompas won.
100% this one, the original was way better this time.
But at the same time, I can see what they were trying to do with the other one. There are a lot of things that I love. Like, it was very much more animated. One note that I want to mention. So, in the new one, Charlie is, like, he collects, like, pieces of plastic to build a model of the factory, and it's when he's nearly finished. And then only then, when he's nearly finished building this sculpture that is probably taking him so long, does the grandpa say, I used to work there. Really? How did he never tell Charlie this before, when he's building a freaking thing, like a replica of the factory, and only when he's nearly finished does he tell him?
Because the grandfather's an asshole.
He's nice, but
hypochondriac and an asshole.
I just remember seeing that and I'm like, oh, how did you never mention this before?
A few key differences in Wonka. It's supposed a lifetime supply of chocolate as the final prize. In Charlie, the specific gift isn't mentioned, but it's also said to be beyond our wildest imagination. The biggest difference in the two films is that Wonka is a musical. In Charlie, only the Oompa Loompas break into song.
Yeah, which is what
Wonka's characters are explored more deeply in the new film. We see some flashbacks of his childhood with candy-forbidding dentist father, Christopher Lee, and explore his own childhood demons. Willy Wonka is even more of the central character of the new film, perhaps somewhat ironically considering that the title change between the two works. Another difference is the existence of the two characters known as Slugworth, Wonka's rival. In Wonka, when each child finds a ticket, Slugworth appears to offer them money in exchange for the secrets to Wonka's secretive, everlasting gobstopper. The new film only mentions such Canty's spies. Finally, the abduction scene where Veronica's soul is now different. Wonka's scene has ducks laying golden eggs, where Charlie has squirrels searching for the perfect nut. 5 characters are quite similar, the subtle difference mostly notable among the parents that accompany them. With the glutton's August Gloop is the first to find the ticket because, well, he's a portly little boy and he eats up a lot of chocolate. In both films, he's accompanied by his portly mother. Next up is Violet Beauregard, a competitive little girl who holds the world record in consecutive time chewing a single piece of gum. She has temporarily switched to the chocolate to find a golden ticket. In Wonka, she is accompanied by her father, who is more interested in drumming up business for his used car lot than his daughter. In Charlie, she is accompanied by her equally competitive mother, who wears matching velvet blue jumpsuit. Veronica Salt is a rich girl, spoiled rotten by her pathetic father. He has employed the workers in his factory to drop their normal duties to unwrap thousands of chocolate bars, some 10,000 plus bars later. One of his workers finds the ticket for Veruca. In both films, Veruca is accompanied by her daddy, who caters to her every whim. Mike TV is slightly different to the two versions. In Wonka, he is a TV-obsessed boy who loves cowboy movies. He finds a ticket, he's a know-it-all and doesn't much respond to authority. He's accompanied by his mother. In Charlie, TV is obsessed with video games. He's still a know-it-all, but he is also a bit of a mechanical genius. He's developed math formula and calculated the location of ticket. This time he is accompanied by his dad. Finally, we have the central character, Charlie. In both films, he is a good-natured little boy who comes from a very humble family that don't have much money and live in a small home with 4 of Charlie's grandparents. In Wonka, Charlie's father has passed on. In Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Charlie's dad is recently been laid off and struggling to keep the family afloat. Charlie is very close with his grandpa Joe. In Wonka, Joe hasn't left his bed for years, but is still supportive and encouraging to Charlie. In Charlie, Joe looks a little older, but he's also more spry. He tells Charlie of the days long ago when in fact he used to work at the infamous chocolate factory.
That was a really good article. Where did you read that from? That was summed up really well.
Is IGN double take Wonka versus Charlie.
Yeah, that was a good article. Read that if you can. But it also made me think of, while you were talking about the contestants, one big difference that you see at the end of the new one is you see the changes that affected the kids more in Charlie and Chocolate Factory. Like Violet's still blue and she's still bendy, and you see how going into the factory affected them more than the others. Like in the original, they just walk out. You don't really, they don't focus on the contestants and the aftermath. Yeah. Whereas they do that in the first one, which is pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Because like they did go through that whole movie with them. So it would be interesting to see what happens to them at the end.
And that I like the fact that they're, again, still children.
Yeah.
And they don't, like, yeah, okay, they've got horrible parents or horrible lives, but they're still children in the end. Whereas the new one, I feel like they were, I don't know, brattier.
They definitely amplified the original traits that the children had. So they were even more competitive. They were even more snobbier. They were even more brattier.
Even more obsessed.
And even more violent than what they did in the original. So I think in the original they really tried to emphasize Willy Wonka and Charlie Bucket, whereas in this one, it was so much more realistic to amplify those horrible traits because it made you dislike them so much more.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like, yeah, they get their dues for being such a horrible child.
Yeah.
So I'll ask you.
Okay. I actually have not looked.
Which is good. I like that you don't look, but I'll bring them up. What do you think the original Willy Wonka got on Rotten Tomatoes?
I'm using Luke's theory, which I'll probably use every time. I'm going to go with 75%.
Way off.
Higher or lower?
Higher.
Okay, in that case, I'm going to go, because you said way off, I'm going to go 94%.
Close. It was 91.
Oh!
The next one actually surprised me more than I thought.
Should I go now?
Okay, what do you think Charlie and the Chocolate Factory got? Which was 2005, so I know I got that. I couldn't remember the year it came out.
It was bad, so I'm going to go with 43%.
I think it deserved 43% because it wasn't as good an interpretation as...
Wait, higher or lower?
It got higher. I was very surprised with the score that this one got.
82%.
Close. It was 83.
Oh!
You're so close. The more I looked into it and the comparisons of the two films and started looking into the story deeper for both of them, I don't think Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is as bad as I thought. It was poorly executed, but there were some really good points.
One other point about the new movie. Yeah, you're right. Like, I wish that it was more of a musical, but nobody wants to hear Johnny Depp sing.
No. I mean, he sings in Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, again,
I like that movie.
Nah. To me, I'll always see Johnny Depp as Crybaby.
I love Crybaby, but you know he doesn't sing in that.
I know he doesn't sing in that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that is...
to me, I'll always think of him in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Was he in Nightmare on Elm Street?
In the first one.
No way.
Yeah, he was the boyfriend.
No way.
He's the one that got sucked through the bed and the blood comes out of the bed.
I haven't seen those movies ever, I don't
think. It's my favourite horror series.
No, see, Crybaby, I remember me and my best friend used to...
I love that. I have that on DVD.
So do I. I have the sing-along version. Thank you very much.
So rude.
So I remember me and my mate, I'd always go to her house after school and we would go down to the video shop, hire it for 50 cents, and like on Sunday night we'd return it. And anyway, we were so excited, we went down and the guy at the video store was just like, girls, just take it. Like, nobody else ever rents it. Just take it. And we were so freaking excited. It was just like all our Christmases had come once.
That's so cool. No, I love that movie. It's such a good movie. Johnny Depp, I'd say it's the same with Tim Burton. I liked the films that weren't really mainstream. When he started doing a lot of the mainstream, he incorporated his traits from all the older films that he did. And then to me, I didn't like the mainstream stuff because I was just seeing his character in Sleepy Hollow, or I was seeing his character. He did a film set on, it was like, he was a cop during the time of Jack the Ripper. That was a really good one. And like, he just incorporated all of those characters. Is that Sleepy Hollow? No. Sleepy Hollow is different. Yeah. The other one, I can't remember the name of that film. I liked his films that weren't as well known as opposed to, you know, now when he is mainstream. And I think now that he's mainstream, a lot of people don't like him as much anymore. Because my partner doesn't like him either.
See, yeah, I liked him younger, but now I'm just like, are you desperate for money? Like, or are you just such good mates with...
But you can't say that about him and Tim Burton, because then you have to say that about like all of Wes Anderson's films, you know?
Yeah, I guess.
Like, directors and stuff choose to work with certain people because they either have the same vision that they have for a particular project or something, or they work really, really well. So, like, I hate when people say that about him and Tim Burton, when it's like, you've got to think of every other director that uses the same actors and actresses.
Yeah, I guess, because I know that...
And Wes Anderson's films work for him and all those things.
And Luca Guadagnino only works with the same people.
Yeah.
So every single one of his movies
and I think
has got Tilda Swinton.
I love Tilda Swinton.
Same.
But see, that's what I mean. And I think when you find someone who has that creative direction or vision that you have, they're going to help you bring that to life. And I think Tim Burton, and same with Helena Bonham Carter, they had that quirky streak that Tim Burton had, and that's why a lot of his films turned out really, really good.
Yeah.
Then obviously it goes mainstream and it wasn't as good anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I hate when people compare that. It's like, you got to think of every other director that does it with all the others.
I never thought of it like that. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. I never thought of it like that. But what do you give it out of 5 reels?
So the original, I would give 4.5. It's just
100%.
a classic. I don't think it would age. I think it's amazing. It's a great musical. And it's something you can watch as a child and be like wondered by the magic of it, and then watch it again as an adult and think, wow, this is darker than I thought. Yet it's so bright as I'm watching it.
Yeah.
So I think that one should get a 4.5.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. 100%. Those points.
It's completely different. I love movies that when you watch them, you see it differently.
Yeah.
Especially when you're an adult. It's really cool. As for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I think I would give that one a 3.5. I can see what it was trying to achieve. I can see the different aspects it was trying to get with it, and to sort of distance itself. Some things they did really, really well. They amplified the children's emotions and natures, which made you hate them more.
See, downside to me is definitely Willy Wonka and Charlie. Like, they're two big downfalls for me, which is why I'm giving it a 2.5.
Right.
Because I did not care about Charlie at all.
Yeah,
I was just like,
fair.
you're too much of a goody two-shoes. Nobody is that perfect. Nobody is that considerate of
There are some
all the
people
time.
out there.
All the time. But I mean, no little children are going to be like, oh, we're so poor. I finally got a chocolate. Oh my God, I'm so excited. It's my birthday. A little kid is going to be selfish.
Yeah and no. Like, I think for him in his upbringing, he kind of had no choice to be like that.
I
So
guess.
I don't, like, I think they definitely made him very...
And it just like blew my mind that it's Freddie Highmore.
I know. He's such a cute kid. Yeah, I think 3.5 is good because there were some really good elements. I even think, you know, I liked the quirky nature and style of Tim Burton, so it made it seem really quirky. The contrast of colour with that one was just as good as the original. Like, it looked really dank and dark outside. Like, he knows how to separate the two... those two elements and dimensions, and he really made Charlie's Wonka's factory really, really bright. So I think there were some elements that were good to not pan it, but at the same time, it will never reach the same level as the original.
No, I agree.
Let's move on to
Nerdazon's Nerdy Notables. We could actually say it properly.
Yes.
Woo!
So
Without
just
delay.
to let you know, while we were recording on Skype, whenever the two of us spoke at the same time, Skype couldn't register both voices. So it never worked for us. But I'm so glad we can record it and it will work.
I know.
It's so good.
I know. It's good to be able to see you in actual person.
I know. I'm going to say I've been doing some crafty projects. I'm crocheting a Star Trek blanket. I'm super excited. It's probably going to take me like ages to finish, but it's just fun sort of teaching myself how to go. And yeah, I've been doing that while watching TV. It's taken me 2 years to watch this, but I finally finished the last season of Ash vs. Evil Dead. And then, like, again, with all the series that I love, it got canned. But it's so good.
But isn't it on Stan?
Yeah, but they stopped. They were meant to continue season 4, but then they got cancelled. Yeah.
Well, I'm DMing a D&D game for you and for your partner and a few other friends. My first time DMing. How did I go?
You were really good.
Yeah.
You're better than you thought you would be.
Yeah.
And I think you should give yourself more credit for that.
Thanks. And
she nearly killed us all.
Actually, I did kill all of you except for you.
You killed one. You made 2 of us unconscious. We both were able to be revived.
Oh, so you're all back.
No,
I thought I killed everybody.
You only killed one character, and 2 of us survived with 1 life point, and then they're like, that's it, we're going to redo our characters.
Well,
and this comes from the girl who told me, DMs that kill all the characters are shit. And she did it to us. Pardon my language, but she did that.
Because the whole point of that story was that you were meant to protect that girl that got beaten
Which
up.
I wanted to.
I know.
And then the other 2 didn't want to. But at the same time, standing back, 3 people against 8, I realised I probably shouldn't have charged like I did.
Yeah. And then you killed the poor little orphan boy.
He got killed by the character.
Yeah, I know.
The other minions, we couldn't save him. Yeah. No, dear, it's been fun. I've been wanting to play for a while, so I'm really glad we started playing.
Yeah, it's my first time DMing, and I'm trying to guide you the right way, but obviously you guys don't listen to me.
Yeah, but you just went all out and attacked us. You're like, you know what, screw it. I'm going to kill you all. And it's like, I'm going to use this one to attack you. This one, you attacked me most. And I'm like, wow, what a great friend. Our first ever game, first night, you're going to like kill me.
And it didn't go through the rules properly or anything.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we got like through halfway and it's like, oh, you should be adding this, this and this. So all of our rolls were crap. We didn't know what our armor was when you says, is that a hit? And I'm like, oh, okay, it's over 10. It must be a hit. But my armor was so much stronger.
So I'm a great DM.
I take back what I said. Nah, joking. You were good. You were very worried about it, but you were good.
Yeah, what else have I been doing?
I also re-binged an old series that I loved.
What's that?
And I had to dig through my box of DVDs that are in storage just to find it because I had to watch it. It was called Todd and the Book of Pure Evil.
Oh my God, I love Todd and the Pure Book of Evil.
Did you know they did a movie?
No.
So, okay, this is how I fell down the rabbit hole. I was searching it. I'm like, you know what? After watching Ash vs. Evil Dead, I'm like, I really want to rewatch this. I'm going to see if it's on the streaming site that I use. I searched it and they didn't have season 1 or 2 because it got cancelled like everything else I love. I saw that there was a movie that was in like 2017. So these series came out in 2010 and 2012. And if you love funny horror movies and metal, you'll love this. And so I'm like, oh my God, I can't watch this movie until I go back and rewatch it. So I dug through my box of DVDs, pulled out season 1 and 2, binged it, and I just watched it was an animated film, and I watched it on the weekend, and it really finished it off. So I think they would have continued in a season if they weren't cancelled, but they obviously had just enough funding to do an animated film. All the voices were back, including Jay Muse, so yeah, it was...
Wow, okay.
It was so good to finish it off.
I might start that. I finished Rick and Morty, and it doesn't look like it's going to be continued.
I'm pretty sure it will be.
I hope so. That was such a depressing episode. Although I was talking to my friend about it, and I'm like, it actually ended nicely.
Yeah,
like,
compared to other seasons.
If this is the end, I'm okay with it ending like this.
I don't think it's going to end. Like Rick and Morty, even if that, say, sponsor channel, whatever, who is
Adult Swim.
Yeah, if they're hosting it and they're going to cancel it, someone else is going to pick that up so quickly because Rick and Morty has such a demand fan base that someone else will pick it up and they will benefit from it. They will profit from continuing with Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland.
Just like Lucifer. Like Lucifer got canned and we were devastated because it ended on a cliffhanger and then Netflix like, we're taking it.
Yeah,
thanks.
Exactly. So it would be dumb that it wouldn't continue.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure it'll be back.
And I finally finished watching Bong Soon Strong Girl, and now I'm on another K-drama, Whatever Happened to Secretary Kim, and that's amazing as well.
Cool.
And I've also fallen down, my friend was like, oh my God, I'm heaps into Mongolian throat singing. I'm like, what?
Yeah, you showed me this before.
And I'm like, what? And now I love the band called The Who, H-U. They're Mongolian singers.
They're not bad. Like, I've kind of fallen down a bit of a trap for like power metal and Viking metal. I've gone back into that. Wolf
of Totem is my favourite. I've just been listening to a lot of music, a lot of different podcasts.
So I've been thankful that I've had to drive a little bit this weekend and I can listen to some music again. But yeah, no, I've just been watching a lot of Star Trek recently as well. So
I still need to get onto that.
I've been watching a lot of TNG while I've been crocheting my Star Trek blanket. So
nerd.
I know. Hey, my blanket's gonna be awesome.
I know. I'm a bit jealous.
It's not bad. I like in my first square that I showed you. There are like 2 mistakes I can see, but it's not bad considering I had to teach myself how to change colors and in mid-row and stuff. So
that's wicked.
Yeah, so I'm pretty impressed with it, and I think the next one will be even better. I'm on the command patch now, so
you would be so proud. My little niece, who's 7, she's 9. She just started reading 2 weeks ago. She started the very first Harry Potter book. She's now up to book 5.
I'm such a slow reader. That would have taken me months to get to that.
I know. I'm like, she's definitely related to me.
Yeah.
But I went over there and I finally got to see them all, and I was like, Estelle, come on, it's like 10 o'clock, you've got to go to sleep. She's like, just 1 more page. And she's like, eyes are falling out. No, you're just finishing, you got half a page left, then bed.
I was never a big reader. My twin brother would read and read and read, and we all had electric blankets on the bed, and you have that tiny little like orange light, and he used to hold that as a light and read under the cover so he wouldn't get in trouble. That's how much of a reader he was.
That's like,
and then I was the sport one, so you can see why I'm not a big reader.
Yeah.
Audible, sponsor me.
I've been reading the One for the Money for an upcoming episode, and now I'm up to like book 3.
Oh, you're doing all of them.
Yeah,
right.
Because I forgot how good they are.
Yeah, like that surprised me because to me all I knew about that was the trailer that I saw from the Katherine Heigl movie, and it never interested me. And then when you selected it, I'm like, oh, great, now I have to watch and read this. But the book is, wow. It surprised me.
Yeah. Can I ask you... Actually, no, I'm going to leave that for the other episode. Let's not go into that.
Yeah.
So, anything else?
So next month we are doing Flatliners.
Oh yeah, my choice.
Best choice. So the original Flatliners versus the remake. Make sure you watch them before you listen to the ep, or else you are going to get spoilers.
Yeah. And if you like us, please listen to us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud.
Wherever you listen to your podcast.
And you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
Be sure to share with your friends.
So send us an email at noticeones@outlook.com.
And we'll see you in the next episode.